Oil, ghee, or butter. It's a choice you make pretty much every time you step into the kitchen. And it's a bigger deal than you might think, because it affects everything from flavor to your long-term health. Today, we're going to cut through all that noise and get some clear answers.
So, when it all comes down to it, in the big battle for your health, which of these fats actually comes out on top? Well, by the time we're done here, you're going to know exactly which one to grab, whether you're making a sizzling stir-fry or the absolute perfect chocolate chip cookie.
All right, first up, let's meet our contenders. They might all hang out in the same aisle at the grocery store, but believe me, they have totally different backstories, different properties, and as we're about to see, very different effects on our bodies.
Let's kick things off with ghee. Now, if you're not familiar, it's basically butter that's been purified. You gently heat it up, get rid of the milk solids and the water, and you're left with this gorgeous golden butterfat. And here's where it gets really interesting. Ghee has something called butyric acid. With gut health being such a huge topic right now, this is a compound that scientists are getting pretty excited about for its potential benefits.
Then we've got a classic, butter. We all know and love that incredible flavor, right? It's made from churned cream, it's about 80% fat, and it does give us some key vitamins. But, and this is a big but, it also brings cholesterol and lactose to the party. And for a lot of people, those are really important things to keep an eye on. And finally, we step into the huge, sprawling world of plant-based oils. The main thing to remember here is that they are not all the same, not even close. You've got your heart-healthy monounsaturated fats, like in olive oil, polyunsaturated ones in sunflower oil, and yep, even saturated fats, like in coconut oil. This incredible variety is exactly what makes them so useful. All right, so we've met our players, but how do they actually perform under pressure? And I mean real pressure, heat. It's time for the kitchen face-off, because how you cook with a fat is just as important as which one you choose in the first place. Now, before we go any further, we have to talk about the smoke point. This is a big one. It's not just about a smoky kitchen or a burnt taste in your food. When a fat hits its smoke point, it actually starts to break down chemically. It can create some pretty harmful compounds and, at the same time, destroy all the good nutrients. So yeah, matching your fat to your cooking method is absolutely crucial. Okay. This chart just lays it all out nice and simple. Look at ghee. It's the undisputed champion of high-heat cooking. Why? Well, remember those milk solids we talked about? They're what makes regular butter burn so easily. Ghee doesn't have them, so it can take the heat. This leaves butter for things like baking and low-heat cooking, where you want that amazing flavor without setting off the smoke alarm. And with oils, it's a whole spectrum. Delicate extra virgin olive oil is best for light stuff like drizzling, while those more refined vegetable oils can handle the intense heat of deep frying. We've covered the kitchen, but now let's get to the real heart of the matter. How do these fats actually affect our bodies? This is where the differences start to get really stark. So first things first, let's get one basic rule straight. When we're talking about heart health, the science is pretty clear on this. Unsaturated fats are your best friends. They're the good guys that help manage cholesterol and keep your cardiovascular system running smoothly. And where do we find these heart-healthy heroes? Well, you're looking mainly at plant-based oils. Think olive oil, mustard oil, canola oil. They are just packed with those beneficial monounsaturated and polyunsaturated fats. So where do ghee and butter fit into this heart health picture? Let's put them side by side. While ghee, used in moderation, might actually help support your good HDL cholesterol, butter just plain has more of the stuff you want to limit, like overall cholesterol and saturated fat. So the bottom line is, if heart health is a major concern, both should be used sparingly, but you probably want to be a little more careful with butter. But here is where ghee has a really cool trick up its sleeve. Remember that butyric acid we mentioned? As this quote explains, it can actually support the lining of your gut and might even help reduce inflammation down there. In a world where we're all thinking more about digestive health, that's a pretty unique benefit that you're just not going to get from most other fats. I love a good visual, and this chart just spells it out perfectly. It shows you how much each fat can raise your LDL cholesterol. That's the bad cholesterol we're always hearing about. You can see butter has the biggest impact. Ghee is right there in the middle, and olive oil barely moves the needle. It's a fantastic way to see the difference at a glance. All right, we've gone through a ton of info. The science, how they cook, what they do to our bodies. So how do we actually use all this? This last section is all about turning that knowledge into action. Think of it as your personal guide to making the smartest choice every single time. Let's make this super easy. Here's a quick checklist. If heart health is your priority for an everyday meal,
Grab the olive oil. If you're cranking up the heat for a good sear or a stir-fry, ghee is your absolute winner. Craving that rich, creamy, unmistakable flavor in your baking? Butter's your best friend. And if you're curious about those digestive benefits, a little bit of ghee could be a great choice.
You know, beyond our own bodies, there's another thing to think about: the health of our planet. Because they come from dairy, butter and ghee generally have a higher environmental footprint. With vegetable oils, it's a bit more complicated. Olive oil is often a pretty sustainable choice, while others, like palm oil, can be tied to some serious issues like deforestation. It's just one more factor to weigh in your decision.
So, who wins the great fat debate? Well, the truth is, there is no single winner. The Healthiest Kitchen isn't about banishing butter forever or only ever using one type of oil. It's about variety. The real victory here is knowing how to use all these different fats to your advantage, picking the right one for the right job, and of course, using them all in moderation.
So now you've got the playbook. You understand what these fats are made of, how they handle heat, and the impact they have on your health. The only question left is, now that you're armed with all this knowledge, what delicious and really smart meal are you going to cook next?